just scripting. We cannot do anything without the scripting. Just like I mentioned before, LoadRunner, the new version of LoadRunner or any other commercial load test tool on the market in the past 1 or 2 years, they become quite mature in the sense that they can, it allows you to record complex web applications and just play back without much problems. Ajax or any dynamic contents on web applications used to be a really big hassle for load testing tools to record. We used to need to do a lot of coding to make things to work, but these days, just like I said, maybe just 80% of the time you can record and play back properly, and just 20% of the time you're not trying to make things to work, but just changing something to make it the way that you want. And scripting, almost similar to development and any other programming coding. We always want to modularize your scripts. Two, 3 slides ago, we saw that we have 12 or 13 different scenarios. They all do logins. If you modularize your login action, then you can reuse that for all your 13 scripts. Otherwise, you will have to either copy and pasting or writing the same thing over and over again. And the load generators, when we are just doing hundreds or 200 users tests, you don't need to worry about that much because any modern desktop PC has enough power and memory to generate that kind of load. But if we are talking about thousands, then we have to plan out how you want to put your load generators on the network, how many virtual users you plan to generate from each one of them. And the most complicated thing about load generation is when some of the web applications, they only allow connections from unique IPs. When those applications only allows unique IPs from different users, then each network segment, you can only have 254 users or IPs. So when you plan out your load generators, you have to put them on different network segments and work closely with the network operation technicians and create different subnets for you to place your load generators on different part of the network. Finally, we see one of the LoadRunner screens. This is not the scripting screen. This is LoadRunner controller. We use the controller to design the load profile. Assuming we already create all these different LoadRunner scripts, we use the controller, import all the scripts here, assign them with different number of users, tell them which load generators to use, design the ramp-up rate. Ramp-up rate meaning how fast do you want the users go into the system. As fast as possible, or 1 user every 2 seconds, or maybe 5 users every 10 seconds, things like that. Those are called ramp-up rate. We also have ramp-down, of course. So you design all of these in LoadRunner generators. Controllers, sorry. And the ramp-up rate, just like I said, we can control that, and in a stress test scenario, we can ramp up like 10 users every second to see if the system can handle that kind of users hitting the system at the same time. But in a more realistic usage, in enterprise application anyway, maybe 1 or 2 users every second should be a good ramp-up rate. So with just LoadRunner running the script, you will only get response time result, number of transactions hit per second on the server, things like that. But you don't get to see the server or the infrastructure's help. So let's say we have an infrastructure running Windows servers and mainframe. On the Windows servers, the most popular and free tool to use is perfmon, which is built in from Windows. All Windows machine will have perfmon. So we can set up perfmon to add different measurement counters, things like CPU utilization, available memory, page per second, process count per second, all these kind of different counters to monitor the health of the system or the utilization of the system. And if it's like a mainframe server, there are other kind of tools to do that. And it gets a lot more complicated if you want to monitor utilization and health of a SQL server, because there are so many different monitoring tools out there to analyze SQL transactions, either on Microsoft SQL or Oracle. So that I normally will say is not a tester's job. So again, performance testing is not a one-man job. We have to work closely with server management people, developers, DBAs, everyone, network people, and get as much help as possible. And as part of the test execution planning process, we have to make sure either you have your isolated test environment allocated to you only, or you probably may be sharing some test environment with functional testers. And if you were to run your load test script, then it's best to schedule a time for just running performance testing but nothing else, to make sure that no other people can go into your system and run some tests. And dry runs. Dry runs, if we look at our test design, we start with 40 users. But that will be a real test execution load. Dry runs meaning you still use that LoadRunner controller. You put all your script in. Maybe assign 1 or 2 users per script to make sure that everything can work together, and most importantly is when you do your test execution, you will be coordinating with all these different people. And the dry runs will give everybody a sense of what you will be doing, how you will be doing it. Maybe after each test you need someone to help you to reboot the servers, or after each test you need someone to restore your databases or refresh your databases. Then those dry runs will give everybody a good sense of what's the procedure of test execution. So that is my favorite tool, either MSN, whatever IM tools. You invite everybody who are part of the performance test team to a conversation or a chat room when you do test execution. It gives everybody visibility of what you are doing and what's going on the system, and if something goes wrong, you can broadcast that to everyone. And at the same time, you also keep a log of the activities that you are doing for yourself. Otherwise, you can also write things down on your notebook. For test execution, the reason why we keep a log of all the activities is because let's say we have 40, 80, 120, 160, 225 different loads. And for each load, we will run multiple runs, because we don't want to just capture performance or response time data once. We want to average them out, so we run multiple runs of them. And if you keep a log of what you're doing, then you don't need to worry about looking at your reports after each run. You can go back and match them with your log file to see, okay, so during which time I'm doing